We are live. Da, da, dun, 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 dun.
All right, guys. Oh, and of course, my visitor that I told you I could hear has arrived. No.
Hey, that means that Blake.
Say goodnight.
Blake, what
You're
are you
live
doing?
on the internet right now, live in real time.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm Buddy the
Oh my gosh, what is that, Blake?
Play trying to get into the camera.
It's Freddie.
All right, so all this is on there right now, you guys.
I know. All right,
And
say goodnight.
Buddy's trying to look at the camera.
Oh, of course he came in as soon as we started recording. All right.
If his wing was in it, he would be.
Well, we're really just trying to give people a chance to show up to this unannounced moment that's happening on Facebook. So hopefully, do we have any viewers? Can you see if we have viewers?
I don't really see that this is live. I'm looking.
It says, sorry, we're having trouble playing this video for some reason. So
Oh, I see it live happening now.
Yeah. Jan's there. She says hello.
Hi.
Oh yeah,
Hi,
look
Jan.
how cute.
There's 4 people.
Look at that cute little live moment.
Jen Sheldon has said, so fun. Yay. Okay.
Yay.
So people can tell. Oh no. Who's playing the video?
No, I turned it down.
Okay.
I'm only there for the comments. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
It's fixed.
Okay, thanks, Jan, for telling us it's live. Appreciate that. Hi, Jason. All right. So
nobody even knows why it's live.
So we're doing Coffee at the Cove Friday night. Woo woo!
I like your cocktails at the Cove. Maybe a little bit better for Friday night. But...
I feel like I need some cocktails. Don't you guys need cocktails? This week has been a lot. Okay, so here's what we're talking about, everybody. I have a cruise booked November something, 6th, perhaps, something like that, sometime in early November. And in my cruise group on Facebook, they posted an article that discussed a survey that Disney Cruise Line sent out. So it's Scott Sanders' Disney Cruise Line blog. And so my cruise group posted this article. And in the article, they discussed a survey that Disney Cruise Line sent out to some, and like people have been reporting in that were sent out about these upcoming cruises for November. At least the one date that they referenced was November. Right. So it could be for any time in the future.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about.
Whenever Disney sends out these surveys, they will always be like, you may never tell anyone that you took this survey or what the contents of the survey were. It is top secret. And immediately, the people who take the survey will screenshot every question and then send it to like Lynn Testa.
Exactly.
Or post it on the Disney Cruise Line blog. And we all get to see what types of questions Disney is asking, which helps us better understand what they're going to do in the future.
Right. So they for sure asked the question to people sailing 7 nights, November 14 on the Fantasy. And they did not ask me, and we are on a 5-night on the Fantasy, but my cruise on the Fantasy is a double dip to Castaway with a stop in Nassau, which is basically what they're proposing that future cruises might look like.
So before we get into that, do we want to... Yeah. Oh, we lost Chris. Oh, there he's back. Do we want to touch on some of the... Well, we'll get it back here in just a second. Do we want to touch on some of the protocols that they're surmising may happen, that may or may not happen, that Scott listed in his blog as well?
Yes.
Okay, so Chris, you're back. Boom. Look at that. Amazing. Where'd
Technology
you go?
Is fun.
I left because Christy was just moving her mouth but not speaking to me.
There are snarky comments that I can't even say in hand gestures. Nothing I can say because we're live.
So Chris, I'm gonna have you, if people have questions as we're kind of going along, throw out the questions and stuff like that. So since you've got the
I have it pulled up.
Awesome. So these, and I'll just read it the way Scott wrote it. He said, this is only a partial list of everything under consideration. So these processes and procedures may or may not be implemented once Disney Cruise Line resumes sailing. So these are kind of proposals, things that are being worked and talked through. Christy, now you've I know you're in touch with a lot of other cruise lines as well. They have similar discussions going on there as well, right?
Yes, they do.
Right. So some of the safety and health protocols, some of these are kind of like self-explanatory, but physical distancing measures are going to be incorporated, obviously. They're going to limit number of people allowed on the ship. There's been rumors. Well, I don't want to go with rumors.
So what I think was going to happen with that is that as people, they're just going to sail everything, because you can't have physical distancing and have the same number of people on the ship. I mean, look at the dining rooms. They're all on top of each other in every cruise everywhere. So
right.
As people are dropping out of these cruises, I think they're just going to limit how many cabins they're reselling.
Right.
Yes. But also the theater on the ship doesn't even have enough seats for everybody to attend the show if they only do 2 showings in a day, which is why for like the Beauty and the Beast cruises, when they first did Beauty and the Beast, they were showing it like 4 or 5 times on some of those cruises, because it was the only way everyone would get to be able to see it. So like the ships really are not meant for everybody on board to do everything, and that'll be even harder with social distancing.
Yes. Let me just talk about this for a second, because we talked earlier today and we discussed how I made my final payment for my November cruise, because we do our booking for stuff on Saturday night. And I moved my cabin. One of the reasons that I moved, so I had moved from one cabin to back to an inside, because I was like, let's just see what it's like. And then I decided, hey, if we get stuck on the ship, I don't want to be in an inside cabin. So I moved me to a balcony. But I actually moved to a balcony connecting to my mom's cabin because it was available. And we did this because, again, if we're stuck on the ship for a week or 2 weeks where they're like, you have to be in your room most of the time. I don't know that would happen, but it could happen, right? It's happened to other people on other cruise lines. I wanted my son to be able to go to my mother's, but also not to be at my mother's for 2 weeks or however long we're separated, so we can just pop back and forth between the rooms.
You heard it here first, folks. Christy is no longer sailing in an inside cabin, and now she's going to be in a veranda, which surprises nobody.
Hey, I am not in my 1 bedroom still. Somebody in my group was very happy to have gotten my beautiful cabin with the bump out balcony.
Right. Wait a minute. So you did an adjoining cabin, which means Disney is letting people book cabins right next to each other.
That they did.
Right.
So, and in this
some cruise lines have talked about that, right?
Yes, but we're sailing together. We're going to be together anyway. They can tell, like, our cabins are linked and we have the same name. So that probably all makes a big difference. And we're eating at the same table. And if you're eating at the same table and you're going to the same table, what difference does it make?
Yeah.
So
Scott says on Facebook that the ships are not physically prepared for social distancing. Like this, I'm guessing he means the ships are just literally not designed for social distancing, which is 100% right.
Nothing in life was designed for social distancing.
Well,
but yes, I get it. But nothing.
I mean, so what number did this survey ask? Well, actually, wait, let's go back to the survey and figure out what things the survey asked that we can glean from.
So there's really 4 questions that have actually been listed as far as the survey goes, but there's a bunch of bullet points that Scott has on there where he talks about the different, some of the different proposals that they're talking about changes as far as the cruise goes. Now, once again, this is all speculation. A survey, speculation. Nobody knows exactly. I mean, there's a lot of steps that have to happen before these ships start sailing again. And so just a couple other things just to quick go over. They're going to increase the number of hand washing and sanitizing stations. Employees are required to wear masks, cloth face coverings, and gloves. Employees are temperature screened regularly. This all kind of makes sense. Guests are required to wear masks, face coverings at all times unless dining or in water activities.
Hey, are you required to be temperature screened before you get on a flight?
No.
Yeah.
So
you're not?
No.
I was literally like, obviously, Christy, but then you're like, no?
No, for us, for the airlines right now, it's all kind of self-regulated. So if you're sick, you should not be coming to work. So for us, they gave everybody a thermometer probably back in the end of March. And, you're supposed to technically take your temperature before you leave for work, and then each day before you actually go to work. So that's what they're doing right now. They want the TSA to try and screen passengers. The airlines would like that, but that's still up to debate and nothing else. So no, we are not. But
Okay, carry on.
Yeah. So guests would be required to wear masks except for at dining and in water activities. Guests temperature screened prior to embarkation and returning from each port of call.
I hate that part.
Just yeah.
Okay,
that doesn't make a ton of sense, because what if you're in a port of call and suddenly you get a fever while you're there, they don't let you back on the ship, and you're just like trapped.
What are they going to do with you? And B, yeah, exactly. That would not work.
Like, I don't think that's a literal option.
COVID in those 3 hours and be showing signs.
No, that means that literally you already had COVID. And you've already spread it onto the ship, so they might as well let you back on. There's a couple comments from Facebook I'll read. Okay, so Jennifer Sheldon says, I would need to have my double-wide 5th floor cabin with 2 TVs just in case.
Double-wide.
Yeah, that's that cabin that's like the weird split cabin.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I want to see.
Yeah. And then
for a little social distancing from your own family. I agree.
Yeah. Scott says, do you know what they're going to do with the kids clubs? Were there any?
Yes.
There was nothing in the survey? Okay, we'll get to that. And then Derry says, hi, I'm so conflicted about rebooking my first cruise during this time. Hate to keep waiting, but should my first, maybe only cruise be with COVID restrictions and changes? ? Do we think that someone should experience Disney Cruise Line for the first time with these kind of restrictions?
I mean, okay, first of all, if April 2021 is when you're cruising, the likelihood, hoping to rebook, and if they change the policies. Okay. Let's talk about some more. We'll get to that.
Okay. Flexibility options allowing guests to change sail date up to 15 days prior to departure. They've already instituted
They've done that.
You want to talk about what that means, Christy?
So basically it means that if you are at final payment and you no longer feel, so you're past the final payment point and then you're in you're in penalty. So if you were to cancel, you would have a penalty for not going on your cruise during any other time. Right now, every cruise line basically is allowing you, and Disney's included, they just came out with this, to have a future cruise credit for your cruise fare. And so you do not lose all that money and you don't have to go on the cruise if you are concerned.
And you can do that 15 days prior to sail now versus as you're talking about your final payment date.
Right.
Right. So that money, you'd still be...
You don't ever get the money back unless Disney cancels the cruise.
Right.
But basically, they're giving you the opportunity to cancel on them.
Right.
Like, they can cancel on you, but you can cancel on them.
Right.
You can cancel, but put it to a future cruise.
And you
don't get your money back. Yeah. Did we confuse everybody on that?
Yeah. I mean, right back if you have any questions about that.
Okay. Increased cleaning and sanitation throughout the ship. Okay. So here's experiences. Deck parties are temporarily paused, kind of similar to, like the parades, I guess, down at Walt Disney World. Close interactions with characters are temporarily unavailable. Kids clubs activities and capacity reduced. They don't say anything beyond that. My guess is, would they go to booking, time slots for your kids to go in the kids club since they're going to reduce it? Or you show up and there's only 5 kids in there. Yeah, you can come in. I'm not sure.
Also, what will they tell the kids? Like, now stand 6 feet apart and keep your mask on. Like, what would kids do in there?
young kids, they're finding that they're not really transmitting the diseases, but obviously more medical will come out as time goes on.
Yeah, we need more info before I would feel like, yes, I will breathe in all the air of the other children.
Well, you won't be in the kids club, but I get what you're saying.
Well, sure. But I mean, sending my kid there, I'm feeling like there's not enough science here.
Here's the thing. If school isn't in session, I'm assuming kids clubs aren't going to be in session. But if school's in session, then they may consider.
Right. I think they're going to Disney's going to want to take their lead from other people so that they don't have to have the responsibility if it all goes wrong. Like, think about it. They're opening the theme parks in Florida because in Florida, the governor and everyone is saying, like, this is safe, these plans are approved or whatever. California did not approve the plan, so Disney's like, we're not going to take on that liability. We're going to do exactly what you tell us to, and we'll wait for you. And I think like all of that is intentional because I'm sure their lawyers are like, if people come to our parks and get COVID and we did something that was against best practices, then we're now liable for that. And it's all going to come down to like whether or not the government is allowing these things, and then Disney will start doing them, which doesn't give me a lot of faith.
So go on, Steve.
Okay, so kids clubs activities and capacity reduced. Access to port limited to only those who book short excursions with Disney. We'll see how that works out.
Mm-hmm.
Later embarkation times at all of the ports. No self-service buffet available.
That's going to be industry-wide at the beginning.
Yeah. Nursery for infants and toddlers age 0 to 3 temporarily closed.
I don't get that.
And here's
yeah,
family pool time limited hours and capacity. So
what are you supposed to be doing?
Yeah, number of entertainment options reduced. So digital experiences. So once again, as we're talking about all this, this is all proposed. Nothing is written in stone in any of this, but these are some of the things that are being floated around. Digital sign up for virtual queues at the main water slide, upper deck main pool time, and debarkation at ports of call. And then advanced bookings required for major onboard activities, including Walt Disney theater shows, movies, and this answers my kids club thing. Kids club time slots each day. So there you go. Beauty and the Beast. Get on early to get your slot, Chris.
Right now on Saturday, I'm booking my cruise activities. In theory, I have to book when my kids go into the kids club too, and when I want to go swimming.
I don't know. We'll have to.
What it sounds like, but then what are they going to? Yeah, so.
We'll have
and
to
then the people who are first-time cruisers never get to go swimming.
Yeah, a couple of comments. Elizabeth says, my big fear is that they'll cut capacity on the ship. We have Alaska 2021 booked, and that ship is getting pretty full with all the cancellations this year. I wonder how they would decide who they will kick off the ship. So this fear is like, are they going to reduce capacity on things that are already booked, and then they have to choose, like, if you booked after X date, sorry, you can't sail on this ship or something.
So I could see something like that happening, but honestly, in reality, they're probably going to do like what Disney World is doing. This is really bad.
Which is what?
But make it so bad that so many people cancel and don't go, or leave all the information not out there so that people cancel and don't go. And then they have enough cancellations to have the capacity that they want. They might also say if you booked an inside cabin, you don't get to cruise. So it could be something like that. There's a Richard Fain, who is the CEO of, and I might be getting his like title slightly wrong or whatever, but of Royal Caribbean, which owns Celebrity and Azamara. He really is actually amazing. He's probably one of my favorite CEOs out there. He is doing a coffee talk with travel agents on Wednesday, and I actually want to try to listen to it because he actually does give information. Like they're talking about some of the things that they're going to try to do. So I'm going to try to listen to that to see the kind of stuff like what they're saying. But one of the things Royals already come out to say is that likely their 7-night cruises are going to be shorter or not sailing right away, that they are going to do, which we'll talk about this as part of that article. They posted some screenshots that somebody had of their November 14th 7-night cruise. Hey, what would you do if Disney made this a shorter cruise or made it less ports? And that's what Royal Caribbean sounds like they're going to try to do. The earlier cruises that go out are going to be their cruises that could go to their private island and that are going to be like 3 and 4 night cruises or 4 and whatever, shorter cruises as opposed to the long ones.
Yeah. So we'll go to the 4 questions here just in just a second. Another thing to kind of keep an eye on is AIDA Cruise Lines, which is owned by Carnival. I think they're part of the Carnival.
It's like a tiny ship cruise line, right?
No, they've got, that's the one that Florian was on.
I was gonna say they have to be in Europe.
Oh no, he was on Mein Schiff. I'm sorry, but AIDA is it's a German cruise line, but they are going to start. They're going to be some of the first larger ships cruising. So, some of the, I guess if we'll try and follow along with them. I'm definitely trying to follow along with them to pass on some of the practices that they're having. So that's kind of an idea to look and see what they're doing over there. Not saying that that would necessarily translate over to the Caribbean, but I think that because they're one of the first ones that are going to be sailing, everybody's going to be watching them to learn from what they experience. So that's something to keep an eye on. So to your point, Christy, the 4 questions that were asked were, how, if at all, would a $250 onboard credit per room impact your commitment to keeping your currently planned Disney Cruise Line reservation on November 14th?
So,
I hope everybody is saying, yes,
not at
give
all.
us money.
But would that really make your decision? Like, oh, I was going to cancel, but $250, now I can get that Dooney. I'm going to go on the cruise.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm still a little bitter about the, onboard credit for rebooking, that they took away from everybody. I know. I feel like Disney needs to get back on that because people like onboard credits. That being said,
onboard booking.
No. I mean, here's the thing though. They're not going to be able to sell this type of cruise to anyone but the most like hardcore cruising for the sake of cruising type of fan, because like so much of what a cruise is pitching to you is like a leisurely, there's a million activities and you could just go find them at all hours of the day and everything is worry-free. And now it's like, no, it's not worry-free. You have to basically pre-book everything you want to do. They're turning the cruise basically into like My Disney Experience, where everything has to have a reservation. Everything has to be pre-booked.
They're kind of getting rid of that there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they wanted to with that Genie app, but I do think it's going to like, I think it'll be very rare to see new and first-time cruisers follow through. So I forget who asked it in the blog.
Derry asked that.
Yeah. So I mean, would I recommend it? If you were going to base your future cruise passion on your first experience, I would say like hold out, wait until you can have a real experience. But if you knew you were going to like it and you just really wanted to get out, maybe. But like, I think all 3 of us have future cruises booked. So my question for you two would be, how does this impact your desire? If these things were to be implemented, would you go on your November cruise, or would you go on your cruise next year, Steve?
Yeah, so, Christy, go ahead.
Yeah. So the thing is that masks are here for a while. Unfortunately, that's just our new way, right? We're going to have to wear masks, and it's easier the more you do it. It's not as hard as
I agree.
for most people as it sort of in your head makes it feel like. So that's going to be here to stay. That's just, if you want to travel, you put on your little mask. Cruises that go to Castaway Cay, you get to go to the beach still. You don't wear your mask on the beach. So yeah, while you're like maybe walking to the spot, that's still going to exist. That's great. If you have to make a reservation to go to the pool, that's tough. I mean,
but maybe the pool won't be like kids.
Yeah, that could have its advantages. But how are they going to do that, right? And like, you can't just but maybe enough people will cancel that it will be less of an issue. I do not envy them at all for these decisions that they have to make. I haven't canceled my cruise because I have airfare, and potentially if I didn't have airfare, I probably would have, I don't know, I would have thought harder about the decision.
And the airlines are not letting you like cancel risk-free in November, right?
If you had bought it now. So like if you purchased a ticket, so this is something people should be aware of. Different airlines are offering different things. I'm familiar with Delta because that's what I fly. So Delta is allowing you to purchase an airline ticket between now and the end of the month. And then if you decide you don't want to take the trip, you can just cancel and get all your money back. So if I had done that, then that would have made it easier too. But I bought my airline ticket a long time ago. So
they're penalizing people who bought earlier and rewarding people who are buying now.
Far, yes.
That's a weird policy. I think like it's complicated enough
Chris
that these
cracks me up.
airlines are making up new rules like
They
to
don't
get
have a choice. Everybody has to unfortunately make up new rules. I mean, this is unfortunately our new awful era. So, yes.
So to answer your question, Chris, for us in
Yeah.
November, it's a very maritime cruise that we moved into from our April cruise. It's got 3 sea days, I believe, 4. And changing it to this, I'm not sure. We still got another week or so to decide on it. If we were doing Castaway Key or
You
maybe
might be.
Alaska. Yeah, well, that's true. or maybe Alaska, where you had a different port every day, where you could be out and experiencing things. I think we would definitely keep it, but because we have so many sea days, and with it changing, the possibility of changing to the experience being on board as it is, and my parents are coming with, who are older, much older, we're probably going to cancel for that reason. But with like you have, Christy, with the double dip, I think that might be kind of fun. So yeah,
go to the beach.
We need a reporter on that first cruise, so we need you out there, Christy.
I really don't want that to be the first cruise. I'm hoping that it's not the first cruise. I want nothing to do. I like to hear what other people experience and then get excited about the trip. I do not want to be the guinea pig.
So let's finish up with these
questions.
questions.
I am the guinea pig. It won't. I guess I'll be in my veranda room, right?
So let's finish up with these questions. How, if at all, would the following change to the 7-night Eastern Caribbean itinerary that you have booked impact your commitment to keep your currently planned Disney Cruise Line reservation November 14th? Replacing 1 port visit. So normally you have 2 port visits plus Castaway Key when you go to the East. So 1 port visit with an additional stop at Disney's private island, Castaway Key.
So it'd be a double dip, which is kind of cool.
Right. So 3 ports total. 2 of them would be Castaway Key. So would you keep it if they did that?
Yes.
Okay. Then how, if at all, would it, same thing, how would this, if we changed it to this, what would you think? Altering itinerary to a 7-night, altering itinerary.
Can I just tell you what they say?
Yeah.
They basically say, what if one of the stops was Nassau and you had a double dip? So Nassau, like if you have like an Eastern Caribbean cruise and then you end up in Nassau. Exactly. So sad face, Chris. I agree. And then the other one was, what if it was a shorter cruise?
Yeah, changing it to a 3 to 5 night, which I'm sure they would reduce or give you some money back.
They would for sure do that.
Yeah, they have to give you money back.
Right. So yeah, changing it to a shorter cruise where you've got a Nassau Castaway Key.
Let me just be legal real quick. Disney can remove your ports anytime, all the time, COVID, no COVID. It's in your cruise contract that they can stop and change every single port that you are scheduled to go to. So you do not have any like real security. What's the right word? There's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee.
Yeah, that's part of the fine print, right?
Yeah, it is. We're long, many pages.
Your cruise contract.
Contract. They can't make it a shorter cruise without paying you back, but they owe you nothing except port fees if you go to less ports or different ports. So just that's a little legal disclaimer.
But with the caveat that if they were consistently under delivering on that promise, it would tarnish the brand, right? So like they have a vested interest in doing what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
Well, there we are.
So
on a Friday night,
chat was a half an hour. It always is. We are the most verbose people on the planet.
So go over to DisneyCruiseLineBlog.com, Scott's site. He's got all the information there if you want to read it yourself. As we said, these are all proposed changes, a possible look into what the future might bring, and we'll just have to see where it goes from there.
Angela, really quick to your question, are they not requiring not liable documentation? Honestly, in your cruise contract, you've already agreed that they're not liable for anything whatsoever.
And that doesn't mean that you can't sue them. Like signing a not liable form doesn't protect them fully. It protects them more than if you didn't sign that form. But
but if you go on a cruise right now and you catch coronavirus, you don't get to sue the cruise line.
Well, because we talked about this earlier. We recorded a show earlier today. And I was saying that my biggest fear going on this cruise going on a cruise this year is that if something did bad happen to me, all my friends and everyone would be like, you deserve it. How dare you go on a cruise? Like, we know that cruises are dangerous. So I'm sort of like, public opinion is not going to lean towards you if you go on a cruise this year and something bad happens, because the industry is like tarnished.
So one other question before we get out of here. Well, Jason says, my wife loves coffee at the Cove, so we'll have to keep it coming, right, guys?
Yeah, I like that. Very good.
Yeah. And then Jennifer asks, has Disney, and have you heard this on any of the cruise lines, Christy or Chris, has Disney mentioned anything about people over a certain age having a doctor's clearance?
I mean, it was something they were doing at the very end when they were doing cruises or trying to keep cruises going. So it's possible. I haven't heard anything. My mom is over 60, so we would have or would be getting something. I'll be curious too if they've already changed the online check-in to be like bold, lettering about anything could change, and we might have additional documentation that we require of you, stuff like that. One of the people commented too that you can get a temperature any time of day. And I will say, yeah, that's true, but it's like a higher temperature that they're looking for. They're not looking for like a little 99.9 situation, which people can have all day long.
Yeah. Well, I am not a doctor, so I don't know on that one. So
yeah, but stranding you in a port is like not a cute look. Like that cannot be their policy. That like,
did you see one of the cruise lines said there's like these going to be these little Chris Parker. What is his name?
Doug Parker.
Doug Parker.
So there's some of the ports were working with the idea of building like little medical treatment facilities. So that if you got off, so if you got off and you got sick and you're in the Bahamas in Nassau, they would have treatments and an area to quarantine you right there at the port. So I don't know. I haven't seen much more about that.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I do not want to be trapped in Nassau being treated in a pod near the like straw village. I would like to be let back onto Disney.
Please take me home.
Like, that's so stressful. Also, like, I think on Cruise Radio they were talking about how because of the pandemic, trip insurance is like just not covering things related to that. Like, if you get sick because of COVID, trip insurance won't be there for you. If you have to be medically evacuated, trip insurance won't be there for you. And it's like, okay, well then what's the point of getting trip insurance then? Like, that makes me feel like it's not a better deal in any way. So I don't know. These are stressful times.
That's got to be figured out.
All right. So what did we learn tonight?
And then a little bit more positive note there.
Yeah, more positive note. I'll find one. I have two cruises back to back in October.
You're not going on them.
So if those were to happen, I would have to make that decision quick. Is my pay in full date like this week?
The 17th.
Oh,
it's got to be coming up because mine's at the
Friday.
end of the month.
That's why I said you have a week to make your decision.
Yeah.
I booked with Christy. She's a great travel agent. Unfortunately, I probably won't be going because there's just too much happening in the world and with all of this. And I don't really want
other stuff personally.
I don't really want to have my money tied up in the cruise ship right now. But if things cleared up by next year, also I have a onboard credit or onboard booking like reservation number. So like, in theory, I would be sailing on a Disney Cruise Line ship in the next 2 years at least. And the way pandemics work, I don't know that this is all just going to be gone in the next 2 years. I think there will be fallout and repercussions. So I guess what I'm saying is we're all just going to have to ride this one together and figure it out.
Yeah, really quick, the point of whether cruises are so inherently unsafe, honestly, the amount of cleaning and stuff that they do is pretty amazing. And it's not more unsafe than any other, in my opinion, going to anywhere else.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they do more cleaning on the ship than they do at Disney World.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Except for your house.
Yeah, my house.
We don't do any cleaning in my house.
I do.
All right. Well, let's leave it at that. Once again, thanks for joining us, everybody who was on with us here tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us either through Steve at DCLpodcast.com, to the Facebook page. And Christy, where can they reach you if they want to book some future travel or have some questions for you as well?
Yeah, people are, by the way, booking future travel. And Walt Disney World this fall, if you can get past the fear, is looking kind of cool with so many less people at the parks. So right? Christy at packyourpixiedust.com. Just like
and Chris, where can people find you?
I don't know. Instagram. I mean, I set up an email for this, but I literally was just frantically looking because I think it's brightdisney@gmail.com.
Go to Instagram.
I would say throw it in the show notes, but this isn't even a show.
It is in the show notes. It's all in all the show notes.
You can find me like my actual handle is Chris Z Bright, but I'm not very filtered there. So you may want to find me more on like Bright Disney by Chris.
All right, you guys. Thanks for coming on tonight. Enjoy your Friday night. Enjoy your weekend. Chris, have a great trip this weekend as well. Yes. And we'll be back soon with another Coffee at the Cove, everyone. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. That's cute.
Ciao.
We're still